What's up, guys? Welcome to Dooz's Nerd Haven, and today I will be completely changing the structure of the DCEU. The DCEU always had a sloppy structure, starting out with Man of Steel, and then going straight to Batman v Superman, and then rushing its way towards Justice League, not developing any of the characters enough. This would end up losing them a lot of money. So I want to see what it would be like if it had a smooth structure like the MCU. Instead of completely changing it to be exactly like the MCU, I want to do it a little bit different, but with some key parts that MCU had to it. So the first thing to note is the MCU's Trinity. If you don't know what the Trinity is, it's the three main characters of that universe. For the MCU, it's Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man, and in the DC, it's Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Each of these characters get a lot more movies and solo movies than the others. The next thing to note is how the MCU structures their films in phases. Alright, so now that we have those things noted, now let's see what the DCEU could have looked like if I had run it. So the first movie in phase 1 would be Batman. So I think this should either be an origin story like Batman Begins, or like the Batman where it's 2 years in to his career of being Batman, or maybe even a year into his career, or even maybe a month like that Year 1 comic.
And I would probably make the villain of this one Deathstroke, just because he works really well if it's like 1 year into Batman's career, just like in Arkham Origins. And he's also already in the DCEU, and we already know he's a villain of the Batman. And as for Deathstroke's hirer, you won't be able to see it in the movie, it'll be a mystery, so that'll set up later when it's revealed in maybe like the third or fourth movie of the Batman, that it was Joker hiring Deathstroke. But in this movie, it's mostly going to be Deathstroke and Batman having to find a way to defeat him without knowing his motive.
Next up would be a Superman movie. It would pretty much be the same as Man of Steel, but pointing towards the next movie. That's another thing to note that the MCU always does. They're always setting up a next movie, and they're always ready for the next one to be made, and that's why they add in those post-credit scenes. So Man of Steel could be set up a world's finest movie, where Batman and Superman meet. This movie could be focusing on Batman and Superman at the same time, and then maybe somewhere in the middle,
they'd fight, because usually when Batman and Superman meet, they usually end up fighting, and then maybe at the end of the movie, they can meet together and fight against something bigger, like maybe Bizarro.
This movie would also introduce Robin, Dick Grayson, as the first Robin and the first sidekick of Batman. Next movie would be Batman 2, where Green Arrow would meet Batman and Robin. I think in this movie, the threat could be a more underworld threat that both Green Arrow and Batman could fight together. Someone like Falcone or the Court of Owls. Next up is Wonder Woman. I think this once again could be the same, but also setting up the Flash with probably instead of Ezra Miller, just because of all of this crazy stuff that's going on with Ezra Miller. Instead of recasting him, putting in the CW Flash, I would cast Lucas Till and Anthony Starr, who also played as Homelander in The Boys. Lucas Till as Barry Allen, otherwise known as The Flash, and Anthony Starr as Reverse Flash in this movie. Next up is Aquaman. Once again, like what I said, almost the same, but
maybe edited out a little bit, because this will take place before Justice League instead of after. So we'll take out the parts that hint to how this is after. And also,
once again, setting up the next movie, which could probably be some hint to Steppenwolf, who will be the villain for the Justice League movie. So For this one, I would probably make it a little bit more different from the Justice League movie, with first of all, Superman not being dead, and also not ending with the world literally ending. So what I would do with it was make it like the DCAMU's movie, Justice League War. If you don't know what the DCAMU is, it's the DC animated movies universe. All of the movies are great. The only one I don't love is Wonder Woman, but it's still good. But in the Justice League War movie, it's basically an origin story of how the Justice League got together with Darkseid attacking. But instead of even showing Darkseid's face, maybe in a post-credit scene, you can show Darkseid's face. But instead of Darkseid taking over on his own, it will be Steppenwolf will be leading the army, and then Darkseid can show up later, maybe showing his face in a post-credit scene. But I want Darkseid to be saved for later to have a big brawl out with the Justice League. Also, in the post-credit scenes, Martian Manhunter will show up introducing the Watchtower. So that's my timeline of Phase 1 of the newly structured DCEU. If you want to see a part 2, drop a like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Dooz's Nerd Haven.